Hey ninjas, welcome back. So amazing to have you here today. We are talking about the power of testimonials and how you can use testimonials to actually skyrocket your conversions. It's so exciting. We've got Misha Z in the house, the testimonial guy. Welcome, Misha. So great to have you here.
Hey, thank you so much. It's so good to be here, Silvia. Yeah, this is amazing. I'm excited. Just to everybody, we were just hanging out in Mexico literally a few days ago, and so to already be talking again is amazing.
Yeah, and so amazing. And the trip to Mexico was amazing too. We went to this mastermind, and one of the big topics was really how we get more conversions out of the traffic, out of the visitors to our store that we're already getting. And Misha has this amazing, powerful framework that we will really dive into today, and how you can, with small tweaks, you can really start using testimonials to really skyrocket your conversions. Because I know, just like you guys, all of us hate having traffic but no sales. So Misha, tell us a little bit more about the power of testimonials, because the reason why, I guess, why I'm asking is because so many people out there still don't believe how valuable testimonials are, and not just how valuable they are, but that actually they need to come in a certain format and structure to skyrocket conversions. So tell us a little bit more about, from your point of view, what is the power of testimonials that you've seen in your industry?
Yeah, so we've got you focus on e-commerce, so testimonials are where do we want to go with this? So I think traditionally we think about testimonials in the e-commerce space as like reviews, text customer reviews, right? So, and mostly the first thing that comes to my mind is Amazon.com, and then you've got the reviews, right? And everybody looks at the reviews, and and we know how powerful those are intuitively, because me personally, I'm looking at the reviews myself, right?
Yes, all the time.
Awesome.
Actually, for
Yeah.
everything, like we just arrived to a new place, and even if it's not just products, but even like looking for a restaurant, right? Like looking for somewhere to have a coffee. Like I no longer go to a coffee shop unless I've read the reviews and see the picture of a coffee. Like if I don't see the picture of a coffee, I ain't going there. Like it's just
That
not gonna happen.
exactly. And then so my story is that I'm more on the expert side of things. Like you're an expert. You're a traffic ninjas expert, right? You're all, how do we drive more traffic to your e-commerce store? How do we get more conversions at your e-commerce store? And you're an expert in that, and how to use your ninja terms. I think that's what they're called, right? And you have other strategies and tactics to to help e-commerce store people do that. What do you guys call yourselves anyway? E-commerce store people? It's not that, is
E-commerce
it?
business owners, yes. There are some
Yes.
people say e-commerce merchants, Shopify merchants, yeah, all different kinds. But yeah, very much so.
Yeah, yeah. So, we've got the expert space, and and I started in the expert space. First, I was repurposing content for people, and was pretty good at it. Not pretty good at it. I'm really good at it. And then I'm also really good at interviewing people, asking questions, all this fun stuff, right? And so I had a coach who I was repurposing content for. This is about a year and a half ago by now, and she had a customer, and that customer, his name was Tom. He's got you can go, he's an e-commerce store, and his e-commerce store is called Sant Eyewear. So you can go to Sant Eyewear, check out what he does. He builds 3D glasses. So he 3D prints sunglasses, and they're beautiful. They're crazy, and they're light, and they're made out of castor bean oil, and it's just crazy what he does, right? But he had this business coach, and Catherine, who I was repurposing content for her, interviews, stuff like that. And Tom said, "Hey, Catherine keeps harassing me for a video testimonial." And I hate being on video and I don't know what to say. Would you interview me so I could give her a testimonial?" And in that moment, a light bulb hit me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you know, in our e-commerce space, in our expert space, we're really built on testimonials and social proof. And that's such a big driver of what we do, of driving traffic, driving conversions, creating that know, like, and trust, all this stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, some people are not good at getting it, right? And I had this light bulb like, "Oh my gosh, like I can help people get their video testimonials." And I was thinking mostly in the expert arena, right? So you help one of your clients get great results, and you're like, "Hey, Misha, get their customer story arc." And so that I at that moment have become obsessed with testimonials, social proof. How do we capture our customer stories to help us get our message out there, sell more, convert more, drive more traffic, right? And so I've just been down this rabbit hole of I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but this rabbit hole of how do we do this and how can we do it better? And then it's like, all right, on the e-commerce arena, like how do we do it there, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So how do we do it there?
So how do we do it there? Okay, so first off, um, I just want to say, look, we intuitively know that we need to have more testimonials, more social proof so we can sell more. And so statistics, according to Nielsen, 92% of consumers trust recommendations from friends and family over any other form of advertising. That's just a little blurb. Uh, Bright Local found that 91% of consumers read online reviews when considering a purchase. Zendesk did a study. 88% of customers have been influenced by online consumer service reviews when making a buyer decision, right? There's all intuitively know it, but we can't hide from it. Like you can't hide from it. So if we're not getting it, or you're not getting it, or any of your audience is not getting this social proof, or isn't building the systems to get the social proof, to get the testimonials, then you're falling behind. You're not even at the starting gate almost, right?
Yeah.
Um, Another study, 90% of respondents said that positive online reviews influence their buying decisions, while 86% said that negative reviews also had an impact. That was dimensional research.
Yeah.
And there's
That's
just more and more, right?
super interesting. So there's different types of customer reviews that I see on all kinds of different e-commerce stores or pages,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And there is I guess, if we had to like categorize them, right? There is like the Amazon style reviews. The
yes,
Amazon style is literally like short, one word, one sentence, sometimes not even that. And you scroll through the Amazon ones and you kind of sometimes wonder like, how real are they, right?
yes, yes,
And and then I guess you tend to just look at the average, if it's like average 4.8 out of 5, then, that's probably good. You're going to find like a couple of the negative ones. You read that. If it doesn't bother you, you just like, okay, this is good enough. I'm going to purchase.
yeah,
Now, then I've seen testimonials or customer reviews in certain pretty cool e-commerce stores, and they go much deeper into that, right? And it's essentially what you talked about. They start getting into the story of the testimonial, so much so that you see, I don't know, a little baby who is like, oh, this was my baby and it had a skin rash, and then I bought this soap and I didn't believe that anymore because I've tried all these products before, and look at my happy baby afterwards. Who's not gonna buy seeing an
yes,
unhappy baby and a happy baby? Like, come on, like that's a selling point, the emotion right there. Or then you can see a review of somebody who's been I don't know, taking slimming shakes, and this was me before, and I've tried all these different diets and I couldn't lose weight and my life was miserable, and my relationship suffered as a result of that, and look at me now, I've lost 25 kilos, or I don't know how many pounds is that, let's say 48 pounds or whatever. And as a result, like, my life is so amazing because I'm more confident, and it allows me to be confident when I have a job interview, all of these different things. So from your point of view, like, and having made or recorded so many testimonials, having extracted this value, like, out of real customers, like, when we specifically think about e-commerce products, like, what is the emotion that we want to convey? What do we want the emotion to come through? The reason why I'm asking that is because a lot of the times people just think of reviews, oh, we just need the stars. We just need the stars.
Yeah.
And we just need the volume. But from your point of view, it's not necessarily about the volume, is it?
No, it's not necessarily about the volume. It isn't. And so I think, I love video testimonials, and I absolutely believe that video testimonials are extremely powerful for e-commerce stores, especially if you can find the emotion that your product taps into, right? I know we've talked about one of your customers that sells rugs, right? She does very creative rugs, right? And it's like, my guess is people are buying that. Somebody might buy one because it reminds them of their mother, right? It could be like, this reminds me of my mother. And there's a story there. There's my mother passed away. Haven't seen her forever. I found your rug. It reminds me of my mother. Now I placed it here, and it warms my heart, right? And if you can get those, what I like to call your customer story arc, the more you can capture those, the better. So I've got what's called the perfect video testimonial system, which is my 5-step system for getting your customers to gladly do your selling for you, right? It's like a referral almost, or it's like someone saying, your sister saying, hey, buy this, but how do we capture that emotion, right? And I think it's up to us as that business owner to really tap into and get clarity on what's the thing that my product is doing for my customer. And if it's a lettuce spinner, right? Like, that's perhaps an e-commerce product, that lettuce spinner, there's a story there. And so how can we get it? And then, or how can we tap into what that is, that our customer, how is it resonating with our customer? So we might have to think about it for a little bit as the business owner, but then how do we capture that story? And I think what people miss on the e-commerce side, and you can tell me if this is true, they think that since the illusion is we're more transactional, so the opportunities to capture those stories are not there as much. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I guess some people have that perception that, hey, well, if my product is selling for $50, then I might not necessarily go into this whole capturing video testimonials in, I guess, in huge volumes. However, what we've seen converts really well is having that emotion sprinkling around. So there is nothing wrong with having 20 written testimonials.
Yes.
And one picture testimonial, and then a 1 killer video, right? Because if it's just one video testimonial amongst all of the other ones, but it really tells the story and emotionally connects.
Yes.
That's essentially why people end up buying, right?
Yes.
And I love how you mentioned that we need to think about it back to who our end customer is. Let's say, I'm selling rugs, or I'm selling furniture, or I'm selling candles. Eventually it goes back to, are we in health, wealth, or relationship markets, right?
Yep.
Because we definitely are going to be in one of these three. So which one is it going to be? For example, candles, right? It's like, well, I've had a busy day at work and I'm coming home and I just really want to relax. And even if it's relationship with oneself. So So I love the emotional bit. And you said that there is 5 steps to essentially extract that through the story arc. So tell us a little bit more about what's the story arc.
Yeah. So I will say that, and I want to go back to candles. I love candles, right? And so I buy
I love
candles and I light them all the time.
yes.
Someone walked into my house the other day and said, "Oh my God, your house smells amazing." I mean, they were like, "Your house smells amazing," and I was like, I puffed up. I was like, yeah, yes, it does. Right. And I got this emotional charge. I felt really good about myself. I, I, it just was very empowering moment for me. And then the person said, "Oh, you must like candles." I was like, "Oh yeah, I do." Right. And so imagine if the person who sold me that candle was like, "Hey, can I get your experience with our candles?" And I'd be like, "Well, heck yeah, I'll give you my experience with a candle." Right? Like, I
Yes.
think I think there's a lot of stories out there that aren't being told because because us, the business owner, aren't asking. So that's step one, if you want to
And
break it
aren't
down.
asking, but also not realizing that we're not just selling a product,
Yeah.
that we're selling so much more than a product. And particularly all of the people inside our audience are boutique brands who have high quality products.
Yes.
And there is a story behind that, but sometimes they don't even realize that there is the story. Sometimes it's
That
like one of our customers, she's so amazing, Kiara. Like she sells shampoo for curly hair,
yeah.
and it's a recipe from her grandma.
Yeah.
And that recipe has been passed down through like generations. So it's like, it's such an amazing high quality boutique product. Yet when those products go onto shelves or into the cyberspace, we just sell them as products. And then when it's just a product, it becomes a commodity, right? Then
Yeah.
I'm going to say like, well, why should I pay $50 for this shampoo if I can walk inside Target or Walmart and buy something for $3?
Yes.
Well, it's not the same product. It's not the same quality, definitely doesn't have the same story, but it's our job as business owners to tell the story.
Yes.
And so
Uh,
the first step in telling that story, you said, is just to ask, right?
absolutely. And so this is what I'll tell you, right? I am literally paid to ask questions. People pay me to get their customers in front of them and ask them the key questions to get that story arc, right? And where was I going to go with this? So I want to
Like
say,
what are the key questions, for example?
yeah,
What are some questions that people should be asking?
yeah, that's a great question. I'll get to that. I'll get to that. I'm just writing this down. What are some questions? Because I had a point I wanted to make, and
Oh,
so
sorry about that.
no, no, no. It slipped away. It happens to me sometimes. I'm like, I've got this great point, and then I'm like, what? What? Yeah, I don't know, age or just excitement or enthusiasm or what did I used to say when I was in sales? Don't don't confuse my enthusiasm for sales or right because I get so enthusiastic. But so what I was going to say is I get paid to ask questions, right? So I'm constantly asking questions. I get paid to interview people, and I also get paid to interview people about their stories. Okay. And so it's surprising how many people don't tell their story through the frame of their customer, right? So for example, I interview people and I'll interview people about what they do, how they got to where they are, what their business is, and I'll say, "Tell me your favorite customer story. Tell me your favorite customer success story." And they have to think about it. And they're like, "Hmm, that should be top of mind." All your e-commerce people that are watching right now that have their boutique shops and that are creating amazing products, when they're out in public and people are asking them about their products, they need to start telling them through the frame of through the frame of their customer, right? So the person that had the shampoo, "Hey, tell me about your shampoo." Well, you know what? This is about my shampoo. I've got a customer who, has the curliest, gnarliest, craziest hair, and she tried 15 other products. And when she tried my product, it transformed, it made it easy to get the curls out. They were lustrous and this and that, right? Oh, that's amazing. And then you tell the shampoo origin story. Yeah, it was my grandmother's recipe, la 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 la, right? And so I would encourage everybody who's watching this to start thinking about that, because people are always asking us what we do, right? And I imagine your customers are perhaps e-commerce store owners, or perhaps started at what do they call the little farmers markets and things like that, right? Where you start selling your products.
Yeah,
And
some of them have, yeah.
yep. And so as all you people watching, when you're out and about and people say, what do you do? Start telling it through the frame of your customer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect
Right. And
sense.
so then you're like, oh, okay. Then you can start thinking in their stories. So then you're more apt to start getting them. And I want to say this too. So I'm all obsessed with testimonials, and so I've got my testimonial agency, right? And anybody can go to testimonialguy.com and reach out to me and ask questions and or anything like that. Again, testimonialguy.com. But what I
And
want to
we'll have
say
the link
about
below
that
too.
is, what's that?
And we'll have the link below too.
Yeah. So one of the things that myself and my son, who's all geeking out on this with me now as well, is we're looking at the e-commerce side of things. We're perhaps looking at lower ticket item type of things as well. Because uh and so it's like, how do we implement the systems to ensure we're getting the stories, right? And getting the stories consistently, automatically, on autopilot. Our customers are gladly giving us those stories. And um, I think what we miss is that our customers want to give us our stories, right? So I would say, what's your favorite product that you use consistently?
Favorite product. Got to be some face product, some moisturizer. Yeah. I've got this moisturizer that I've been using now for 15 years.
Oh my gosh.
And so much so that I can't get it online. And it's this German brand. And whenever I go to Europe, I'm like stocking up on this thing. And then when I have like family or friends visiting me, then I'm like, can you please bring me like 5 tubs of this? So like
Yeah.
my dad, for example, he brought me like literally 8 tubs of the moisturizer when he came to visit us when we lived in Mexico.
Yeah.
So I just gave him the list and I was like, these are the products. I can't get them online, but they sell them in these pharmacies. Can you please get
Awesome.
it for me?
Okay, here's a question everybody needs to start asking their customers and build the system to ask it. So, Sylvia, it sounds like you love this product. What's it called?
It's called, it's called, what is it called? It's called D'Olive. It's kind of like a weird name. That's
Okay,
why I was thinking about it a little bit, because it's like olive, but with the apostrophe. So
fine.
it's like the apostrophe olive.
Dalif.
D'Olive.
What was your life like before you found that product? You've been using it for 15 years. Tell me about your life
Yeah.
before that product.
You know what? That's a great question, because like there is this whole thing about like the female skin changing as you like go from your 20s to 30s to 40s, and I'm now in my 40s and I'm like even asking myself like, should I even be using this moisturizer, because I started to use it when I was 25. But it's still good for me. Like I've tried other things in between when I like ran out of the batches, and then my skin would just be either dry or too oily, and so I just always go back to it. I'm like, well, this thing is for me.
That's amazing. What you just said right there in response to my question, we could literally, the company, D'Olive, could go back and clip out 3 or 4 or 5 things. One of them was, over the last 15 years since I started using it at random times, I've started other products, but I always go back to it. Bam. Right now you've got a juicy video testimonial. You also could pull the text out of that, and now you've got great text. Then, a follow-up question, I don't want to go too deep into it, but a follow-up question would be, like, what does it do that the other products weren't doing? And we could get more specific, right? I don't want to do that right now, but that would be a follow-up question, right? So the first question is, anybody just rewind, and there's a question for you, right? Next question would be, well, how did you stumble across D-Olive?
Yeah, great question. It's so long ago, I don't even remember, but I'm pretty sure it was like a product in the pharmacy, and I was looking for something that was like natural and high quality, and I just I mean, I would have been mid-20s at the time, so I was probably looking at something that was like price-wise fitted me too. But I do remember, and this actually ties back to your candles too. I'm a smell person too. Like I smell, like a good smell is really important to me. So I do remember, like, when I got it and first opening, I was like, oh, this smells really nice.
Yeah.
So I do really like the fragrance, and it's kind of like a natural fragrance, there is not like perfume or anything, but it's like this natural fragrance that I really like. And, and I put it on, and it doesn't feel like I've got a moisturizer on. So it's like, you don't feel it on your skin. So yeah.
Amazing. We just got a more amazing test. We could chop up a testimonial for D-Olive out of these questions. Okay. And so,
and
it's
think
kind of
about the customer lifetime value, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is huge.
Huge.
And so it keeps expanding, right? Because when I was like mid-20s, it was like, oh, one moisturizer. Now I'm like the day moisturizer, the night moisturizer, the eye moisturizer, then give me the serum, like
yes.
It's just like, it's the customer lifetime value that grows over time, like the share of wallet.
Yeah.
Like, they've got 95% of my share of wallet.
Yeah. So this is all valuable testimonial stuff, right? So the key is start asking questions. And how about when you said, I imagine any of your customers that had a customer as dedicated as you, that they had their family buying 5 tubs at a time, right? And you literally said that on video, right? Like, that's crazy. So I have a follow-up question for you. If D-Olive came to you and said, hey, we're going to run a campaign, and we would love to include you in some of the marketing, would you give us a little bit of color, or would you tell us your story? Would you be interested in doing that?
Yeah, I mean, like, sure. I mean, why wouldn't I? Like, they don't know me, but I feel like I know them really well, right? Like, you feel like you have a personal relationship with them. So I can see now a bit more as we're getting into this, how by not reaching out, by never capturing my details, because I always got the products, they're still going through the retail chain. I don't even think that they're online. They're still going through like different pharmacies, distribution channel. So their access to me is so crazy complicated, and they just have no records of me buying all of this stuff. But online, like, all of our guys who are online, all of you guys who have your online stores, you've got all of those records. So who bought from you multiple times. And it's just so easy to get back to that person and be like, hey, you bought from us multiple times. What is it that you love? And hey, would you be open to like having a chat?
Yeah. And people would say yes. Like, in my space, in the expert space, my mentors are Russell Brunson, or I could go down I'm all of your customers should get this book and read it right away. Influence by Robert Cialdini. Okay. And I'm going to reference him here in a minute, because he will change the lives of your viewers. But where was I going to? Oh, if Robert Cialdini called me up and was like, hey, I want to interview you and talk about my book and its influence on you, would you be interested? I would be like, heck yes. Like, let's do it today. And so a byproduct of that effect, this is crazy. And I don't think anybody ever thinks about it. I'm now more, the goodwill is so powerful that I'll buy from him even more. Your next book comes out, I'm on it, right? If your face cream company, Dialive, was like, hey, we're going to interview you. We're going to perhaps use you in some of our stuff. We just want to hear your amazing story and how we've impacted you. And then now you're even more inclined to buy their next product.
That's true. That's
right?
true, because people, and in a way, it comes back to, and we heard this at the mastermind as well last week. It comes back to people wanting to be seen and want to be clapped for, right?
Yes.
So sometimes as e-commerce store owners, we falsely believe that if we ask our customer to give us an interview, that they will want money for it, right? That they will be like, hey, why should I do that? But it's actually the other way around, because they want to be seen. They do want to help you move forward. And I even remember, this goes like back, years and years. When I was in high school, I used to work for McDonald's after school. And suddenly they came with like a big campaign, and they're like, hey, we're going to have this big campaign. And we're going to be like, putting like real employees on posters. Like, who wants to go? It was that kind of thing. And, of course, at the back of my mind, I was like, hey, this is a big chain, big company, and they're utilizing employees for free instead of models. And like all of these people will be on posters. But then when they like tap you on the shoulder, like you kind of feel like, yeah, it's going to be cool. I want to go.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I remember going to the whole photo shoot, and I was at the photo shoot with like a couple of other guys for like, we were there like all day, and it ended up being not so cool because like you have to do all of these weird positions, and the makeup is so thick, and then at the end they cut me out of the posters. But I know, but anyway, but all of the other colleagues made it, and I do remember like people felt the sense of pride, right? They're like, hey, I'm going to be on the poster, the whole country is going to see me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I'll tell you the other thing too. You mentioned the story about, I don't know if this was a true, but you said, hey, there was a video on the bottom of a e-commerce store page where the baby and this and that,
Yes.
right? And that's right. And so if you think about it, like massive businesses have been built on one customer testimonial.
That's
you
true.
get the right testimonial, that's the right story,
That's
and
true.
you get that proof, like that is insanely powerful. So you're almost like fishing too for the good testimonials, so there's plenty of good content, but you get the one, and bam, you can build a whole business. You look at like what was Proactive, right? That's another on the face cream bent, right? But like they pick a couple people that it's changed their lives, and they build businesses on a couple of testimonials.
That's true. Even many of the businesses in the expert space, as we know from our experience, right? Sometimes it's like one or two great customer stories that essentially are the backbone of all of the success, right?
Yeah.
So that's really, really powerful. So thinking about like fishing for these great testimonials, like my thoughts are, okay, let's say I've got thousands of customers who've transacted with me.
Yeah.
So, my numbers head would just go and sort the data and would look at who is the highest spender.
Yes.
And I would reach out to those people first.
Yes.
But I also understand that maybe the first person is going to say no.
Yes.
So what would you suggest? Like, how do we reach out? And do we just reach out to few because it's going to be like more manual? Or do you think there is a system? Like, what is your... What's your thought on that?
Great questions. Great questions. So currently I'm obsessed with building out the systems to consistently get testimonials, written testimonials, video testimonials. I'm like Waylon too. Waylon's like, we are all things testimonial, right? And yes, we are all things testimonial. And obviously, I love video testimonials, and I think video testimonial is incredibly powerful. And then when you can bring someone like me in, or someone on your team who can ask those questions and ask them from different angles, right? That's incredibly powerful. Sometimes people don't want to talk to their customers, right? They're like, I don't know what to say, or it's embarrassing, or whatever. So bring in that neutral third party, right? Like bring in a neutral third party, like me or somebody on your team, to get those testimonials. And
So
what I'm trying to, yeah,
let's
go ahead.
say we've got customers who are like all over the place, right?
Yeah,
Because in online businesses, you know,
yeah,
we're talking like worldwide customers, international.
yeah,
So if we don't have the ability to bring somebody else like you,
yeah,
which you know, some businesses will have the ability, some businesses will not have the
yeah.
ability. So if we don't have the ability, like what is a way to, I guess, do this systematically?
I love it. So I've got some ideas for you and your viewers. So first off, with Zoom, you can absolutely do Zoom testimonials, right? So a guy like me could literally be anywhere, but you might have Spanish speaking customers. So now it's like, we'll bring in the Spanish speaking person, right? Or maybe they're German, like D'Olive, or probably French, and who knows? So,
They
but
sound
you get
French,
what I'm
but they're
saying.
German, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to answer because you asked two questions. You're like,
But that's
hey,
a
I've
good
got
point. You can just do it on Zoom. So
to
you can
absolutely do
hire
it on Zoom.
somebody like you yourself, or somebody else from your team, where you essentially get the person on Zoom and you extract all these questions.
Ex- Yep. And so, part of that is, all right, making sure your tech is in line on the interviewer side, the gatherer side, right? Like, I've got a mic, I've got lights, I clean the screen. It's like, what's your step? I literally have a little screen rag. So many people forget to wipe off their screen, right? Or the lens of the camera, right? It's like step one. Well, make sure you got a good camera. Make sure you got a mic. Wipe off your camera, right? Like simple little tricks, right? And then I would think, so that's tech, right? It's the tech. What tech do we need? And then we can encourage the person on the other end to have good tech too. Or, hey, you can say, hey, would you move to good light? So it's not the background that's so important. It's the light that's important, right? So it's better to have a ugly background and great light than it is to have an amazing background, but the person's washed out, if that makes
That's true.
sense.
And
Right?
how the camera is positioned, right? Because
Yeah.
once we had somebody who gave us an amazing testimonial, but he ended up being like this. Not that he
Yeah.
wanted to, it's just kind of
Just
slid down.
yes.
And then it's really hard to do anything with it, right?
Yes. And I think we, as the person getting the testimonial, we can think that it's it is okay to say, hey, can we stop for a second? Fix your camera. Great. Let's get started again. Right. But sometimes we can be like, I don't want to interrupt the process. We're in the flow. Maybe I'll
Yeah,
scare them away, or whatever, things like that. And then so much stuff can be done editing, so it doesn't need to be one take. And I
that's
love
true.
asking the same question again. I'll give you another tip for your viewers is, say, this is one of my favorite questions. Can you put a little color around that? Right? Because somebody will say, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It changed my life. I feel great. And you're like, well, can you put a little color around that, or get into a little bit more detail? Right? I will also say, if you know what your product does, you can ask him, does it do this for you? And then let him talk around that. And then you can edit yourself out asking the question. So you can, if you know what your product is doing, you can guide the conversation to where they validate what your product is doing, if that makes sense. Right.
Yes. Kind of
Um,
like, tell me a little bit more. Tell me
yeah.
more about how was your hair before you started to use
Before.
the shampoo, and how has it been after?
Yeah, and then I'll give you one more tip in regards to questioning, and then I want to answer your system question. And also, we've got all this great customer data. How can we take advantage of the data we have now to start getting testimonials from our from our existing client base, right? And so you can have people repeat the question back to you. So you can say, hey, I'm trying to think of like in regards to the face cream, you could say, hey, instead of saying, what does this face cream do for you? And then they say, oh, it makes the lines of my eyes go away. You say, hey, I'm going to ask you this question, repeat the question back to me, however it feels good, and then answer it. Right. So that way they're saying, so you say, hey, what does this face cream do for you? Repeat that back to me, however that feels right to you. And they'll say, oh, I love this face cream because it makes my lines go away. It smells amazing. It reminds me of my 20s.
Or
Does that make
sometimes
sense?
let's not remember.
Yes. Okay, so systems. Yeah, so I'm obsessed with systems and setting up the the processes so we can efficiently gather amazing content from our customers and have the customer feel good about it, right? Because there's like force feeding it, but then there's like the customer is a part of the conversation and they're excited to give you that information, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so I'd say if you have 2,000 customers and you can look and see, oh, here's the top 50 that buy all the time, then you section that 50 out and then you write an email tailored to those 50, right? And then you've got, okay, I've got my next best customers and let's say it's, you know, 400. That's the bulk. You got the 50 that buy all the time, you got the 40 or the 200 that buy some of the time, and then you got the other people that have just bought once, for
sure.
example,
And
right?
then
So
how would you frame the email? Like reaching out to them, what would you say?
yeah, I would say, hey, I would say I would just be totally honest. I'd be say, hey, I see that you've bought, hey, Mr. Smith, or hey, you put in the what do they call that field? So it auto populates
Yeah,
with their name, right?
F name,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I would say, hey, we see that you've been a loyal customer for X amount of years. We think that that's amazing, and we'd love to ask you a question, how this product impacted you, and then also offer you 50% off your next purchase or something like that, right? So there's a little bit of give
Like an
take in the
incentive.
incentive. Yeah. So I'm all obsessed with video ask right now as well, or those video response tools, right? So you could literally have it say, do us a favor, and you can build out whole video question sequences. But if you just wanted to keep it real simple, you could say, hey, give us your, your favorite thing about our product. Just hit the record button down below, and as soon as you hit submit, we'll give you a coupon for 50% off your next purchase.
Or you can go to a draw to win something.
Or you can go to draw to win
Yeah.
something, or what's the next step of your value ladder, or there's all different ways to say it, right? So if you could get super granulated, and let's say, you're selling, your entry level product is this, and then your next level product is that, and you could say, hey, give us your experience with this and we'll give you 50% off of that. So you're
Ah,
encouraging them to
that way it's a, I guess, win-win-win, right? It's like
win win win.
you
Absolutely.
they're giving you testimonials, they're getting money off, but you are getting the amazing testimonial and pushing them up the value ladder. So that's actually incredible.
Yeah.
Or yeah, it could be off your next purchase. That's very good, because if you know that your average order value is, I don't know, $70,
Yeah.
and then you give them 20 of the next purchase, then you're still getting $50. Or it could be a percentage, right? Or you're gonna get 20% or so off.
Absolutely. Or you
And if
give them
every
5 for the
customer,
price of 3 or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
The other thing too is you could say, hey, we'll give you a coupon for a free product that you could give to your sister or your mother, or 50% off to your friends and family. Like, you obviously love this product. We'd love to invite any of your friends and family to use it. Like, here's a coupon that they can go get it for free. Right? So and so
yes.
I mean, there's
Amazing.
all sorts of, I'm not saying that is the answer, but there's all sorts of creative
Yeah.
ways to get out there, right?
That's amazing. And I guess, just rephrasing this back to all of you guys who are watching, is what you might want to weigh up is, doing something automated where you might be getting all kinds of different quality footage back, right? Because automation is amazing, but then people will be hitting Loom, pressing the Loom button or the zoom button, and the camera might be not right, the light might be not right, whatever they say might be amazing, it's just might not like look amazing. Or you can get in touch with Misha, or I guess get one of your employees to essentially do the setup to make sure that the first one is going to be a winner, that essentially whatever you get is going to be super high quality and really helps you convert. So
yeah,
with that said, I think we'll got so much value out of you. Thank you so much, Misha, for being here. For the rest of you guys, we've got Misha's details down below. He's got some amazing tools for you guys to download to start essentially capturing testimonials. But do remember, it doesn't have to be difficult. All we want to ask, right?
Yep.
Misha, we want to make sure that we ask, we want to make sure we convey that emotion and really tell the story of why did our customer buy the product, and what is the, I guess, what is their story of how did it impact their life, right? That's
it. And don't limit your thinking. Like, if you're selling products, it's triggering something in your customer, right? And I will just say this too, and I'll guarantee you put me in front of your customer, or and we set up some opportunities for me to get your customer stories on video, for me to interview your customers. We will get content that will be amazing, right? That's what I do. It's my crazy gift. But what was I going to say? I just practice thinking about, I would even say, sorry, I know we're trying to end, but maybe you and I love meditation.
yes.
I would say meditate on the fact and talk to God or the universe or whatever, and be like, give me all the insane, crazy possible ways that my products could be helping my customer, and just start writing them down. Just list, write down. Like, what could, you know what I mean? Like, what's the emotional trigger? I'll stop.
This is actually a very good point. Yeah, thank you for bringing that back into the loop, because if we are just selling product, it's going to be a commodity, guys. It's like you then going to compete with the Amazon and the Walmart and all of these soulless companies that sell crappy products that might look nice online, but ultimately they are nothing in comparison to your high value products. But that's why we need to bring the emotion in, because unless we bring the emotion in, it's literally just going to be a commodity, and then it's just going to be a price beat. So so always remember the emotion wins, which the testimonials do magic for.
Yeah. And I want to tell your customers right now to go to the show notes. I've got a free download for you. It's a swipe files of an incredible email customer service chain, where literally it's a beautifully constructed email sequence of how to ask your customer for a video testimonial. It's even got, the wording that's beautifully written on to get permission to use it in your marketing, right? So everybody be sure to go down and click on that link and get those swipe files, so you can creatively start thinking, hey, how do I want to implement this in my systems?
Amazing. I love it. Thank you so much for being here, Misha. For the rest of you guys, make sure you look at the show notes below. And I can't wait to hear from you guys. So do comment below. Do let us know, what is your ahas? What have you learned from this? How are you going to capture your testimonials from now on? And we're really looking forward to seeing you crush it with your e-commerce store. So with that said, thank you once again, Misha. And we'll talk to the rest of you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.